Welcome back. Hey, Technical Brad here. All right, well, our Freeman loader project is rolling along quite well. We have our 3-handle valve body on here. This gives us a third function that we will plumb in to the front where the loader is. So we will have access of attaching a hydraulic cylinder or whatever attachment we may have up by the loader. Give us a hydraulic flow to that. We got this thing plumbed in. We put this cross 10 micron oil filter on the system here. This is in the return line. So we got this thing all plumbed in. It was a very difficult, tight thing to try to get this all put together. There just wasn't a whole lot of room here, but we did get it all put together, and yeah, works pretty good. We fired the system up, had it running for almost an hour yesterday, got everything heated up, and so everything's sealed up. All of our hoses, everything, fittings and all that worked just fine, as well as the filter and everything else. So today we're going to turn our attention to the mainframe. And what we're going to do is we're going to run 2 lines. They are 1/2-inch hydraulic lines, 4,000 psi pressure rating on it, working pressure. And these are 8-foot hoses, so they will come from the valve body up here, run down along our mainframe, and on to the bucket area. And this is our mainframe here. So with our original mounts, we had metal lines, and I was originally anticipating on running metal lines, at least down into here. But then I just decided to do the rubber line. So I made a bracket. I extended this out. This had a nut on it. I put a coupler nut on it, which is a longer nut. Ran it out, and it's got a bolt that threads into the end of it. And I'm going to make another plate like this, which I've already made. I'll show you those. The lines will fit in here, and then the plate will screw on to this and hold them in there. And there's 2 of them. There's one here and one here. And then we've got a couple of weld-on mounts. And we'll just have to see where we're going to run this in correlation to everything else. I'd like to put it on this brace here versus that brace down there. That one's kind of in harm's way more so, I believe. That's also, we wrap chains and things around that brace for lifting and whatnot. Now this bucket will come off. We have that attachment over there under the roll of baler twine that we made that is for quick connect. So this will fit on here. It pins onto our 4-pin system, which are 2 pins on either side, 2 pivot and 2 cylinders. That piece fits on there, and then that switches over to your quick attachment pieces for skid steer, tractors, that sort of thing. So that's what we're working on. But anyway, I went ahead and made these brackets here, and we'll go over here to the press and show you how I did this. And it's quite simple, really. This is the bracket that I made. This is just a 1-inch, I don't remember what the gauge is on it, fairly thin piece of metal. And it was flat, so I made this jig out of wood and a couple pieces of galvanized pipe. These measure roughly the same OD as what our rubber line is over there. So I set this up with a straight piece on here, used the press to push down in the middle, which bent it up, and then I pulled it out and extended it down here to where I could beat it down, and then put it back in the press to hold it here, and then rounded this over with a hammer. And so that's essentially how easily that was to make this piece. We'll bring it over to here, and then this bolt will come off. And these bolts, I've cut these off. These are 1/4 bolts. So they are cut off so that they will fit in here. And then they will fit in here and tighten down, and hopefully this will clamp, our hoses will clamp in here. Now we're getting ready to test this out and see if I need to adjust this any to get it to hold those 2 hoses in there. So that's what we're going to do next, and yeah, we'll just see how everything fits and how we end up running through this here. If we're going to probably run through this area down into here versus underneath. We'll just play around with that for a bit and see what we like, how it fits in there the best. So yeah, let's get at it. Welcome back. Hey, Technical Brad here. All right, well, as you can see, we have reattached the main frame to our loader system here. We put this on. We got the upper pins put in anyway. So what we're going to do today, we're going to reattach our hydraulic lines. These are our two new ones that go to our third handle here, our third function. I'm not going to hook these up yet. What I've done is I've ordered some live swivels. So they will mount here, and they actually come up and they're 90 degree, and then these hoses will hook into it, and they'll be able to swivel as this boom comes up. These hoses get pushed back, and this will allow swiveling action back here at the body, the valve body, to help protect everything. I've got them on the 3/8 hoses here. This got a couple of live swivels on these as well. A live swivel, okay, so the difference. A live swivel, once it is tightened down, it still swivels. A regular swivel only swivels until you tighten it down, and then when it's tightened down, it's solid. So a live swivel will continue to swivel even after everything is torqued down. So that's the difference between a live swivel and a regular swivel. Which the regular swivel, you need that because like this hose here, both ends, this end and the other end, have male threads on them. If we take this cap off, it has a male thread. So you can tighten one end into a solid, like we could screw it into this block, it would be all right. But you can't tighten the other end in because the hose has to be able to turn as it's being tightened. So that's where a swivel comes in. You would have a swivel, and you could have a swivel at both ends. It makes it a lot easier to, just tighten them up at both ends. But anyway, so we're not going to do that. We've got our brackets made for in here that these hoses will be mounted inside these grooves here and then tightened up, both hoses. And then we got a metal bracket similar to what these are here that will fit over here to clamp that down. And then we have this other clamp here that we will weld on, and that will allow it to hold the hoses. And we also have a bracket that we've made that will weld on underneath this rail here, and that's where the connections will be for the third function. So that's where our quick connect will be. So anyway, we're going to get to working on this a little bit here today, and we'll see how far we get. Welcome back. All right, here we are. Our Freeman loader project we're working on. What we have over here, I went ahead and I made this, I guess, manifold here, we'll call it. This is going to weld onto the main frame up under here. And then the quick releases are going to point out, and the hydraulic lines are going to come in from behind here after running down along this rail and then under here. So what happens is our hydraulic lines screw into our swivel fittings. This part here will be welded to that main frame piece, and then the quick connect, there will be two of them, will be there. Flat face quick connect will fit on there, and then you'll plug your lines in for cylinder or whatever apparatus you have. These are a couple of clamps that will fit onto our existing clamps right here and over here. And our black flexible lines will run down in these grooves and then out and back to the valve body and connect in back here. So we're going to get ready to plumb this stuff in. I've got some live swivels ordered. Probably be in tomorrow that we'll put here, so we won't hook this part of it up. But we can run it down to this end, get things positioned. We've got a clamp block we can weld on here, and then our manifold block we'll weld on back here. And that'll kind of get this system set up to accept whatever kind of a third function we want to have on it. So we're going to get started on that and see how it all rolls. Hey, welcome back. Okay, quick update. We've got our pieces welded on here. As you can see, we really burned things up. Welded on there. That's the base for the clamp, the two hose clamp, and then that's our manifold bracket we put on there. I just went ahead and welded it here on the ends. I know my welds look like crap, but they always seem to hold. So hopefully that's going to be the case on that and on both of those. So anyway, just a short update. We'll get this cleaned up, and we're gonna have to paint it too, get some paint on there, and we can get it get the hoses hooked up. We'll make sure we're in line with where we need to be with everything. And yeah, not too bad. Really difficult welding over your head. Doing anything over the head is a pain. But like I say, I got it melted pretty good in some couple pretty good spots, so hopefully it will yeah, hold up well. So just a quick update. Hey, welcome back. Technical Brad here. Okay, so what we're doing, we're hooking up our hydraulic lines to our new valve body. Now what I'm doing is I am installing live swivels. And the difference you get between a live swivel and a regular swivel, this is a combination. This here is your regular swivel. Now what this allows you to do is it allows it to turn so that you can take the end of the hose and put the two together, and see your hose you won't be able to turn because it goes down and mounts to the frame, but the swivel will turn and allow you to screw that on there. And then what happens is you tighten that down. Now once that's tightened, it won't move. And this is just finger tight, but once it's tight, it won't move. These are live swivels. So what that means is once they're tightened down, and these are screwed into our valve body, and we're screwed into our hose, that's a solid fit, and this is a solid fit. But right in here is your live swivel, which allows this to move. And this one over here is allowed to move as well. And we also have them on the back here. These two hoses are a different type of a live swivel. What that allows you to do, as this arm comes up, these hoses get pushed back, and that allows these to turn so that the hoses aren't just stationary here and then the hose just has to bend itself. It can actually bend and move the swivel. These are supposed to extend the life of your hoses and the hydraulic components. So it's kind of a good idea. Now this is a 1/2 inch male thread and a 1/2 inch female. So the 1/2 inch female mounts onto our 1/2 inch hose. These other hoses are 3/8. So this one here is a 3/8. And then down here it's a 3/8, which we had to convert into a 1/2 inch. But what this allows us to do, we can screw this into the valve body and then attach our hose to the side of it over here. And then as the loader comes up and the hose pushes on it, this will move and swivel around without coming loose here in the block. It's possible if you used a solid fitting that it would come loose down here where it's threaded in, and turning even a little bit over the course of time is going to wear your threads out inside your valve body in this case, or the cylinder, or whatever the hose is being connected into. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We got our plugs loosened up here. So we'll remove our plug. We will check to see. And there is oil in there, so we don't have to put any oil in it. So that's good. And what I'm using is, get a picture of that, gas oil thread sealant. And this stuff you can use on any kind of gas, whether it be natural propane gas or oils, diesel, kerosene, gasoline, all that kind of stuff. And it's a soft set, so it doesn't harden up. These are National Pipe threads. So a National Pipe thread is tapered, so it's smaller at the start end than it is at the other end here at the finish end. And the holes are the same way, so as you screw these things down in there, they just naturally get tight. Some manufacturers say use a thread sealant, some say don't. Prince Manufacturing, who manufactured this valve, recommended not using Teflon tape. Now they make a Teflon tape, it's yellow in color, and it is used for pipe that you are using on gas or oils as well. And so it's not as resistant. Your regular plumbing, the white one, Teflon tape will dissolve in oil or gas or that kind of stuff. So there's differences in all the sealer. The thing that this stuff does, it helps seal the threads, but it also helps kind of lubricate it. So it makes it easier to take it back apart if you have to service anything or take it back apart. So I find that to kind of be an advantage because ultimately something will booger up at some point and you'll have to take it apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on our threads, and I just go up about 1/4 of an inch on it and put the dope on here. You can put a lot of it on there. It doesn't matter because it's just going to squish out the thread anyway. What I try to do is leave it out of the end here. So we want it on our threads down to the end, but we don't want it to actually end up inside the valve in this case, or the cylinder, whatever it is you happen to be sealing up. And then I'll just I got a little bit on there, so I'll just take me a little towel here, paper towel, and just kind of clean that edge off. Like so. And then we just thread this in here. I kind of make it back and forth to get it going in there. Use our wrench here to tighten it down. And if this leaks, because it is a swivel, you can always tighten it down more. I get them pretty snug, like so. And then this is going to swivel around. It has a grease fitting on it, so I'm going to give it just a minute squirt of grease, because I don't know if the factory did that or not. It may just have oil on it, you know, where it was put together. So I'll put a little bit, just a little bit of grease. I don't want to jam pack it full or even, you know, pump it in there too hard, so it may blow whatever seal is in there out. I don't want to do that. So we'll just take this, put that on there, and just a little bit of grease. Looks like most of that didn't even go in there. Let's see. A little bit in there. And I'll wipe the excess off, and then just kind of rotate that around a little bit. Get the grease spread in there a little bit. Like I say, I don't know if they grease these things at the factory, if they just had oil on them, or maybe you're just supposed to use oil in them, I don't know. So then all we'll have to do is hook our hose up. We got 2 hoses here, and we'll put the other one on and see. We'll have a hose hooked into here, and then we'll leave a hose hooked into this one. And then as the loader moves, and we'll adjust these hoses down at the other end. But for now, I'll go ahead and I'll put the other one in, and then we'll come back and hook this. We'll get this hooked up, and then we can move down to the other end and hook the hoses up at our loader end. So tune back in. Hey, welcome back. Okay, so we're getting ready to put our quick connects here on our ends. We've got the pipe dope here we're going to use. Let's see. We look pretty good there, really. What we're going to do is take some of our pipe dope out here. Now, I've been keeping this stuff inside the house where it can remain warm, because it's cold out here, and so I want it to be pliable. You can, this stuff has a wide temperature range, so it doesn't actually hurt the product. But boy, it makes it difficult to spread it when it's cold. So if you use any kind of pipe dope like this, it's a good idea to keep it in the house where it's, you know, around that 70-degree range, hopefully, versus out here in the shop where it, although last night it didn't get Last night it didn't get too terribly cold out here. It got down about 45, but no. You have the female end, and then you have the male end. Or no, the female end and the male end. And then they hook together to make the connection. What I've noticed is on such systems like this, they use one of each, and then the hoses that you're hooking into it will have the other one of each, and that way you hook it up the same way every time. So in other words, when you move your lever on the hydraulic system, the cylinder will move the same direction every time. So screw these on here. Ah, boy. Tighten it down. Onto our manifold we made here. Screwed in there nice and tight. See that it's squeezing the pipe dope out, so it's bottomed out onto our bracket back here, which is what we want. So there we go. Now you'll have your quick connect on there, and let's just see. So you have your hose, you come up here, push that on there, lock that one on, and then you would have the other one that would hook up here and lock that on, and then that goes to your implement. I think that's pretty cool. And you pop that one off and pop that one off. Yeah, they release pretty good. Like I say, we got our quick connect up here. We got our lines run, and got our third function valve installed. So I mean, you know, that's really cool. So now we've got our third function here. We got our bucket. Is this the second one? The middle one's the bucket. The outside one or the inside one is the boom, lift and lower, and then this one will be our third function to whatever we connect up to the front. I got a nice filter unit on down here. So yeah, nice little upgrade for, hey, going into the 2024 season here. Nice little upgrade on Browning. Other thing we did, I think we talked about this. So I went ahead. Hey, welcome back. A little noisy here in the barn, but hey, we got the thing put on. Got our attachment on there. Got it hooked up. Hydraulics. Had a hydraulic leak on one of the hoses there, so I had to take it apart and put reseal it. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. Pretty mean looking machine there. Can't really see what's going on, but have a grapple on there, and of course the stump bucket. This thing is, that's a massive stump bucket, big old thing. So I think we're going to take it out, maybe try to do a little digging with it, see what happens. It has replaceable teeth here on the front of it, so I'm not sure how those pound out of there, but